I read the message.
Well, hello there. This is Ben and Barry on football. My name is Barry Sterling Mitchell. My compadre in crime is.
I'm Ben Dickerson.
I'll quickly just say what our story is. And again, if you've never had a chance, because we're kind of new with this, Ben and Barry on football has only been around. We've been recording now since the beginning of the season, right?
Beginning of the season.
Absolutely, since the beginning of the season. Basically, our story is this. Ben's my best friend. We've known each other for pushing up on 40 years. We've been arguing about football for that entire 40 years period. So we decided to put it on YouTube. I produce what's called the Sterling Net Point Power Rankings. We're going to talk in today's show about the top 5 in those categories that we deem as most imperative to understand. Number 1 is net points. And that's how we rank things. 1 through 32 teams is based on their net points. So it's completely a quantitative, no opinion ranking system. And then we're going to talk about the top teams and net points, points for, points against, and that's how you get net points, when you take points for, subtract points against, and turnover differential, which, Ben, I think we talked a little bit about the NFL, and in today's ruling, they're talking about how much teams are going after the strip searches and the turnovers and how much more valuable a turnover is. So that's already built into our system, which is called the bias, and that's how we sort of, when we're looking at two teams, that's how we kind of say which team is somewhat favored based on what they've done, not what we expect them to do per se, but just based on what they've done so far. So again, my name is Barry Sterling Mitchell. This is Ben Dickerson. Tell me a little bit about yourself, Ben, or whatever you want to mention.
As Barry said, we've known each other for quite a long time. And during those times, we found that our love of football causes us to talk about it quite a great deal. And although we both love football, we both see it a little bit differently from time to time. The games themselves, the individual players, coaching-wise, scheme, the whole 9 yards. If it's about football, we talk about it, and a lot of times we argue about it.
We did coach together.
We played
together.
We played ball together.
We won championships together, in at least the league that we played in.
Right.
So
That's I think we got a pretty good insight. We are far from experts, but
we're kind of close.
Well, you're an expert on the Net Point Power Rankings, and that's your baby, and that's what you do. So, and as far as I'm concerned, being a lover of the game and a guy that I believe I know the NFL pretty well, I think it's a real viable system. So,
I appreciate that. And again, Ben's a fantasy guy, so he takes value from this information in a way that helps him relative to fantasies and knocking some of those competitors out the box. I think fantasy is a little weird. But in any event,
you always have to throw that in.
I know. It is. Because I'm a Niner fan, my beloved Niners. He's a Giants fan, and we just are,
And you just have to differ.
But
believe me, if you play fantasy football, you know what I'm talking about. If you're good at fantasy football, you'll really know what I'm talking about. If you're a beginner at fantasy football, you probably have no clue, but I can help you.
He can help you. Yes, absolutely. Yes. I've learned some things about fantasy, so we can actually discuss it to some degree.
Right.
My main thing is Madden, but where the rankings come in, that really doesn't make any difference because I play with the Niners, and I'm going to play whoever comes up, no matter what. So let's get ready to get started, and we're going to just share some information with you to get started. So what we have here is the Sterling Net Point Rankings summary for Week 12, 2018. And I think what you'll see graphically right off the bat is that about half the league is in the negative. And until you actually start to think about net points, you might not even think about negative numbers in this way relative to the NFL. But if you go all the way to number 32, we have the Raiders at number 32, that's dead last, at minus 140 net points.
And the simplest way to explain that is they give up far more points than they score.
For example, they scored 187 and they gave up 327.
Hence, they're in the negative.
Hence, they're in the negative. So this is the chart. You can find this chart. This will be going up on the Sterling Net Point Power Rankings Facebook page at Sterling NPPR if you're on Facebook. And you'll be able to take a closer look at this. But what we're going to focus on right now are the top 5 in net points. And Ben, this is interesting because we have a new addition.
Yes. That team that I said has been kind of surging over the last couple of weeks has now cracked the top 5, and that's number 5. And I almost said San Diego, Los Angeles Chargers.
Well, you know something? You're absolutely right. And one of the things that's interesting about this top 5 and about net points in general, especially in today's time, when you've got some super scoring teams out there.
Right.
But yet they're not necessarily number 1, but they are close. And that kind of says how powerful these offenses are because their defenses suck.
Well,
but they're still in the top 5. That's how powerful these offenses are.
You're usually going to find in the top 5, and I know for sure in the top 10, a few teams that are relatively balanced and a few teams that are offensive powerhouses.
An offensive powerhouse. So here's a couple of the balanced teams down at number 4 and 5. The Bears at 106 net points. They're coming in at 4th. They're somewhat balanced.
They're pretty balanced.
I mean, they're not super scorers, but they can put some numbers on you at times, and they've done that. So with 106 net points, they're right up in that 3-digit range with the rest of the top scorers in the league.
Yep.
The Rams coming in at number 3 in net points at 107. Now, a lot of times, I do like to mention the points against for some of the teams if they're not in the top 5, but we're not going to sweat that right now. The Rams coming in at 107. The Chiefs, and I think that's what I was alluding to when I said the defense. This defense don't suck, but it's really lower half in terms of the rankings of the league right now. So it's not exactly a highly ranked defense, but they're right up there in terms of net points because they really put points up on the board. Patrick Mahomes is absolutely ripping up the league here. Number 1. And we're going to talk about the game coming up in the next show, the matchup show. But the Saints at 153. And the Saints, again, defense is if I look across and the other categories, they are 1, 2, 3, 4. They're only in the top 5. And we'll talk about this later in turnover. They're not there in terms of points against.
But again, look at the disparagement. I know a lot of people have been watching the Bears and they're saying, wow, the Bears, this is a real nice thing the Bears got going on here. They have a great defense. And Mitchell Trubisky is proven to be just as good as advertised after going into his second year. But their net points are 106. The Saints' net points are 153. That's pretty big.
Well, that's a nice gross difference.
But
if you spread that difference over 12 games, it's not that big of a difference.
Okay, but if you don't spread it over 12 games,
nice
you just look at it the way it is,
gross numbers.
Okay, then you have what we just spoke of a few minutes ago. You have a nice balanced team, offense and defense, more defensively, strength-wise, but enough offense to get them in the top 5. And then you have a team that defensively has been challenged, but lately, I must say, has been getting better.
Yes, they have.
And a great offense.
The Saints are 15th defensively. They've given up 256 points. So they're right in the middle.
Right.
But what makes it even a juicier, if you really look, is there's 4 net points between the Chiefs and the Bears, with the Rams in between. Rams is only 1 net point off of the Bears. You wouldn't think that just from the eye test.
After you watched the Rams-Chiefs game and saw the scoreboard lighting up like a pinball machine, you would think, oh, man, the Rams, and rightly so, offensively. Give up a lot of points.
So the net points on that particular game was what? Like a touchdown?
Oh, it was crazy. What was the final score?
It was really
54,
close.
51?
Yeah, it was like 3 points.
Yeah, it was like 54,
so net
51 or something
points
like that.
was only like 3.
Sure.
They scored over 100 points.
Exactly.
Net point differential,
Yeah.
only 3.
That's your 3, 110, 107.
Yeah, right
you
there.
go.
There's your 3.
So, but
net
yeah.
points will tell you things if you look at them closely.
Absolutely.
Ready to move on to the next one?
Yes, sir.
Let's talk about scoring, baby. And there they are again in the top 5. Who would have thought that the Bears are in the top 5 in terms of putting up?
And this is just points scored.
Just points.
So again,
Offense.
a really good team with a good defense and a super team with an okay defense. Look who's in first. That's my point. Look at that, 317 to 409. I'm just saying.
We have another entry into the top 5 who has not been there all season.
Oh my goodness, Indianapolis Colts. I've already said my mea culpas for Andrew Luck.
Yes.
I take everything back. I said bad about Andrew Luck. My man is smoking right now. Okay? Nobody in their right mind, I don't care who you say you are, who you think you know, would have said at the beginning of this season that the Colts would be any kind of factor in this season. They're knocking on the door for a playoff spot.
They're knocking on the door for a playoff spot. The play where Andrew Luck made that pass that pretty much saved that last game that they played in, where he was the pocket broke down and he stumbled forward, athletic enough to keep his feet, to keep himself upright, and then he hit that guy was wide open.
Yeah.
But I think once he stumbled out, the defense kind of broke down, but he had his eyes up. He was seeing what was going on.
Yes.
That's what I'm looking for. When we'll talk again, I have this thing about
our quarterback discussion.
Quarterback running and all of that kind of stuff, and I've seen him run, and I was a few times, and I'm like, you need to be sliding, buddy,
Now he still should slide. If for no other reason because of his size.
Well, wait.
He's such a big target.
After all of his injury history, what are they sending him out on pass plays?
Wait, he actually ran around?
He twice.
Dude, everybody wants to do the Philly special before they die.
In the end zone, and he couldn't catch it. It was over his head. But wait, they got him, the thing like the Saints like to do where they put Drew Brees out on the wing by himself.
Yeah,
and then
he don't do nothing.
And that's what they expect the defense to expect, right? And that's what happened. The defender on that side, right? He started inching in.
Right. And
but the safety stayed out there. No.
Oh, okay.
He just turned around and only had to go like 3 yards or something like that.
Okay.
And Brissett was that quarterback.
Okay.
He takes the snap, he fakes off, he turns, he throws it to Luck. Luck's got to go up to catch it. He goes up to catch it, and the safety comes in and blasts.
And they'll never run it again, ever.
Why would they run it in the first place?
Well, because they didn't anticipate that he would make him reach for the pass.
You don't put your franchise quarterback out there unnecessarily.
I agree. I'm just saying.
You don't need when the offensive coordinator puts that play in the playbook, you slap the slop out of them. Okay, you tear it out the playbook and you say you got 4,000 other plays we can be running. That ain't gonna be one of them, buddy. Okay.
The premise was the closest guy to him would sneak in, assuming that he wasn't going to do anything because most of the time they don't. And the guy that would be able to cover him for the short amount of yardage he needed to get wouldn't get there in time if it was a quick dart.
Wouldn't get there in time to do what?
To crush him. He should have had time to catch the ball.
And you're talking about execution.
And
I'm not talking about execution, okay?
Execution makes all the difference in the world.
You throw that play out. You ain't got to worry about executing that play.
I understand your point about never, ever putting your franchise quarterback at risk.
Wait a minute. If it was Colin Kaepernick and he was healthy, I might have thought about it.
You might have thought about it, but you still wouldn't want to do it.
Right?
I agree with you.
He just came off of being injured. It was this preseason. He was throwing a tennis ball.
All the more.
And you're putting him out there at any type of risk unnecessarily. You don't have 4,000 other plays in your playbook.
Believe me, I'm not defending them.
3.
I'm not defending their coaching staff. I'm just saying what they may have been thinking when they put it in there. But it
they
seems
think.
like every team in the league is enamored with some kind of Wildcat / Philly special / something.
It's amazing. These guys can put up 300 to 400 points by week 12, and they still feel the need to come up with a gimmick play. Really? Rams are number 3 at 389, and now we have two teams that have hit the 400 range. This is week 12, and then the 400s. That's the Chiefs at 404 and the Saints at 409. That's how close they are in terms of scoring capabilities.
And real quick before we go to points against, Drew Brees and Patrick Mahomes are probably 1-2 for MVP right now.
Well, you have to think so. I mean, Patrick Mahomes is making history. Ready, set?
Yeah.
All right, this is where we coach together. Defense, baby! Defense wins championships.
I'm looking at these points against them. Oh, boy. Okay.
Old do cast of characters except for that team. Let's start at number 5, the Texans. Big win.
That was a big one for them. Against a team that was supposedly had a superior defense.
Wait a minute. The stats for the other team was nice.
Yeah.
You look at their stats, completion percentage, touchdowns, and you look at, they must have won that game.
Yeah.
No. Deshaun showed up a little bit, played well, and their rush is starting to be effective, especially off of the DNs, with Watts and Clowney, Even though I was listening to one media guy talking about Clowney's got to start getting there first. You can't always get there second. Coming in doing.
He's supposedly the faster guy.
And I think he does a little more coverage, a little more that kind of stuff.
They move him around more,
they do.
Where JJ usually stays in one spot, and they run him on a lot of stunts or whatever they call them, stunts.
Yes, yeah.
So sometimes he's going to be that late guy, but he comes in untouched.
So he will run you down. Chargers! The Chargers been in the top 5 long this season?
They've been hanging around. They've been hanging around in a couple of different categories.
Maybe once or twice, but Chargers
they just cracked the top 5 in the first slide. Net points.
Chargers?
Yes.
Oh, did I forget that? Oh, okay. Sorry about that. Yes, Chargers. So, Chargers defensive. So, again, some balance. Cowboys, top 5.
People have been talking about the Cowboys defense. Even in some of the losses they've taken, people are saying, but they got a defense. And they do.
And fortunate for them, they got a backup linebacker. So Van Ness stepped in for Lee, right?
Yeah. Because losing Sean Lee was a big blow. And this guy, who is a rookie, has come in and proven more than capable of taking his spot.
Especially considering that's the quarterback position
of your defense. That's a godsend for them.
Amazing that they've been able to do that. And as it's gotten colder, and we talked about that earlier, run game is starting to show up.
Yeah.
And all of that helps. That helps your points against because the best, Tom Brady, is absolutely powerless to score from the sideline.
That is correct.
He can't do squat standing over there on the sideline as you eat up that clock.
Yep.
And chew up that yardage, and keep him right off the field and get yourself down in position. So you can really control the amount of scoring in the game. The Bears, speaking of controlling the amount of scoring in the game, coming in second at 211, and the Ravens not even giving up 200 points yet, with 198 coming in at first. So when you got a number 1 defense that's not giving up any points, you can put Lamar Jackson out there, and hopefully he doesn't turn the ball over. As long as he's not turning the ball over. As long as he doesn't
turn the ball over, you can stay in games.
You can stay in games.
And that's been the Ravens' MO for most of the season.
Mm-hmm.
Now, careful. We tell you, this is not an indicator of any specific thing. It's just where we're ranking the teams according to the pure numbers.
It's what they've done.
You don't want to look at this and say, well, how can the Ravens be number 1? I think the Bears' defense is better. Well, if you say that, guess what? I agree with you. Here's the difference, and we'll get to it with numbers to show you later. Turnovers.
Bottom line, yeah, that impacts
Ravens
everything.
Keep scores low, but they don't turn.
But the bottom line again, these are the actual numbers. There's my opinion isn't in here because if I could rank a defense just based on opinion, I couldn't even rank it. I love, but I couldn't put it. But long story short, we have no control over. These are numbers as they have actually been scored on or allowed in the league. And the Ravens, when we give them credit, 198 points is all they've given up so far. That's how you stay in contention. That's
true. That's true.
But the rising value is in Tide. TOD, turnover differential. Saints at number 5. I was a little surprised at that.
I think they had a good number of turnovers in their very last game against the Falcons.
What about the Eagles? They turned the ball.
I think they did well. I think they took the ball away from the Eagles also.
Eagles.
That game was so fast and furious.
The Eagles are 28th in turnover differential, -8. Okay.
And that means they gave up a lot more than they got themselves.
Guess who's number 26?
Don't say the Giants.
The Giants are actually better than this team. The Giants are like 18.
Another pretender. I'm gonna start calling these teams out as pretenders, man.
Who are you calling out?
Another pretender of a good defense. The Steelers. The Steelers are like Jekyll and Hyde, man. You can't trust a team like that. Sorry, Steelers fans.
Steelers are 12th.
They've
given up 249. They're right below the Patriots, who are right below the Vikings, who are right below the Jaguars, who are right below the Seahawks, my sleeper team. But the Seahawks are 8th in points against. Number 1.
But turnover differential.
Look at these turnover differentials.
The Steelers are 26.
Yes.
And that's why they can't be a great defense.
Oh, that last turnover, man, that was a killer.
The game.
Yeah, that was the game. You right there. But you know what they say when you throw the ball, 3 things can happen.
And 2 of them are bad. 2 of them are
Famous
bad.
Football quote right there.
Famous
football quote. Redskins. Are they the Deadskins now? Are they done? I mean, can they rise from the ashes?
I'm not throwing dirt on nobody because we had the Cowboys with 1 foot in the grave like a month ago. I had the Eagles with 1 foot in the grave just last week. So I can't throw dirt on anybody, especially in the NFC East. I got to think they can pull it together some kind of way. They got a good defense.
Rams. Oh, the Rams is in the top 3 in turnover differential. Man, that's a little scary right there.
And I'm surprised that the Chiefs aren't a little better. They're 12, which isn't terrible.
But the Chiefs is mainly, again, they're front 8, front 7.
Right, but that's kind of my point. Like if the strength of your defense, which both the Rams and the Chiefs' strength is their front 7, then you expect to get sacks. And if you get sacks, you expect to get a decent number of strip sacks, especially since now, because of the rules, these defensive linemen and these pass rushers are going out of their way to knock the ball.
They're learning how to do that.
But I expect them to be up there again also because of what I like to call game flow. The Rams and the Chiefs work well off of game flow, and game flow means they got their foot on the gas offensively to such a degree that they force the other team to throw an inordinate number of passes to keep up.
There goes your situation.
And there you go again.
Their backs aren't
when you throw
picking
the
them balls
ball,
off.
3 things can happen and 2 of them are
Right.
bad.
But
Now, if they're not making the picks, that's
the
still an indictment on their secondary.
Right. But that's what I'm saying. That's not.
But the Rams are up there.
And the Rams, what's the name? Is going to be coming back soon. D-back. They got hurt.
Aqib Talib.
Talib's coming back.
Yes, I think he's playing this weekend.
Yeah, Talib's coming back. So that's going to help them out. That should help them out anyway.
We got to check on any reports on Eric Berry for the Chiefs, because he'll make a big difference for them too.
Yeah. He can do for them what
Talib can do.
Right.
But he's a safety, so he can actually even do more for the Chiefs. Yeah, that's my opinion.
You got a point there. Browns still living off 5 turnovers from the Steelers in game 1, but that's okay.
I love the Browns right now. I love Baker Mayfield.
We talked about the Browns. I've said it relative to their defense. Early on I was talking about their defense and wondering, and then I kind of lost. I was like, well, defense ain't looking like that great, but now that they've had some changes, Baker's dangerous now.
Yes, sir.
The defense is starting to feel a little swaggy, so you never know. But number 1 and tied. with 14 turnover differential.
The Bears.
The Bears, Khalil Mack is still the man.
Yeah.
And even when he wasn't playing, they were still jamming.
He's the master of the strip sack. And again, they kind of work the game flow thing in the reverse. They put so much pressure on you defensively. They're constantly hammering quarterbacks, which forces guys to lose the ball when they're trying to scramble away or throw errant passes, which their secondary is very adept at picking off balls.
Yeah.
So, hence, plus
Quick
14.
question.
Yes.
What would you rather have, a dominating defense or a dominating quarterback? A dominating defensive line or dominating quarterback?
A dominating defensive line or a dominating quarterback. I think I'd rather have a dominating defensive line. I'll tell you why. You can mix and match and fix the secondary. If you have a dominating quarterback, you may have to build the rest of the team around him.
Aaron Rodgers or something like that.
To make right,
Aaron situation.
Right, or yes, they had a dominating
quarterback,
and he's having problems now because they made some moves, some people left, trade, boom, boom. Next thing you know, the pieces around him aren't strong anymore. His production goes down.
Different type of coordination for offense than for defense. You know what I'm saying? Defense, that athleticism can make up for some coordination situation. But turnover differential, one of the more valuable stats now in the league, because there's value there. Whether you think there's, the production and yardage that gets lost is something that you kind of know,
right?
And you figure, if you kick off football and it comes out to the 25, just by default, you got 75 yards to move the ball,
right?
And if you move it, 74 and a half yards and turn it over, all that production, all that effort, all that sweat, lost, done. It just turns around. So turnovers are amazing and
game changers.
It's game changers. It really changes the directions of everything. And if you can get a turnover, it can make up for a lot of sins.
Yep.
Your offense, your defense, or whatever. But it can make up for a lot of sins. So that pretty much wraps up the top five. Any last words, Benny?
No, not really. I think we were pretty clear and concise about everything. I like the way things are fleshing out. The top five in the net points look like all Super Bowl contenders, as we expected come this time of year. So we'll see what happens. Nobody can say that the Saints, Chiefs, Rams, Bears, or even the Chargers wouldn't have a chance to make it to the Super Bowl. You may have your arguments as to why, which one you think would and one wouldn't, but they're all what we would call contenders.
Going back to that top five that we talked about in terms of net points, I did want to make sure that I mentioned the Chiefs, in terms of defense, are ranked 28th. They've given up 294 points. They are 1 point below my beloved 49ers. That's how bad that defense has produced.
Crazy.
Up to this particular point. Really, it's amazing that they can be in the top five in net points when your defense is that low.
Right.
And that is absolutely amazing. So that just says something about their offense. The Rams defense is 20th, ranked at 282. So these top five, there's
right, but they're third in turnovers.
The third in turnovers,
which gives the ball back to the offense,
and that offense knows how,
which allows them to continue to score.
And they know how to score.
See how all these numbers tie. Bow on.
Absolutely. Putting a bow on it. Let me mention again. Ben and Barry on football. You can reach our YouTube channel at our website, www.benandbarryoonfootball.com. And you can find us on Twitter, and you can find us on Facebook.
Correct.
In addition to the Sterling Net Point Power Rankings, again, on Twitter and on Facebook. Yep, we're on both. All right. See you later.